two of my favorite intuitives, three intuitives, get together and discuss some fun stuff. So I did the last meditation, the quantum meditation.
Oh.
It was fantastic. I had some interesting things, so I thought I would save it for this show because I know you do the Q&A after the meditation. It was fantastic because I was like, when you meditate with a group of people like that, you really connect. And when you were answering everybody's question, I was like, I would have said the same thing. I would have said the same thing. So it was really cool when you guys were connecting and talking with the people afterwards. First of all, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we jumped into your little conversation here. So tell us a little about the quantum meditation conversation here. So tell us a little about the quantum meditation and what you guys intend for it and what people can get from it.
Go ahead, Lisa. Talk about the meditation. Yeah.
So I've been doing this for about a year now, and it's really changed my life as well as the other people who I've been working with. And it started out as just doing this individually. And the more I worked with it, I realized that I could do it in groups, I could do it long distance, and wanted to help more and more people. And the results have been extraordinary. And I wanted to prove that it was working because when you get into energy healing, it becomes quantitative. It's not quantitative, it's more like qualitative. What is your experience? So I spoke to a friend who was a functional medicine specialist, and she said, dark field microscopy. So they look at your live blood under the microscope. And I started doing that. And Michael, we did your blood. It's pretty well. What's crazy? I've never had my blood done.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I need to have my blood done.
You have to travel though.
I know, because it's illegal in Vermont.
I know, it's hard. That's what I was about to say. It's hard.
That's why I was doing it down there. So, but yeah.
And we know when they make it illegal, that means it's really good, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And even I thought, okay, I'll check out Canada, and Montreal is not far from me, and all of Quebec, it's illegal as well. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the problem about Canada these days. It's really gone dark.
It's gone really dark. I think they've now made ivermectin illegal.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I see how they're rating people that are, distributing, I won't call them meds. I will call them alternative meds, that are
supplements,
holistic and so forth. And they're seizing all of their inventory, and they're not. I heard just recently that now they're throwing some of those doctors in jail. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really bad.
It's really bad. And I have friends who are chiropractors and holistic. They're all up there. So, but anyway, praying for them. And so anyway, we were checking people's blood before and after and having significant results. You had your blood done, and Honey and I did a group out of the Pacific Northwest with Joe and Scott, and every single person in that group had their blood checked, and they all had significant changes, from looking really distorted, like stacked coins called rouleau, to perfect round, like right afterwards.
Yep.
Right after. So it's been amazing. People have had extraordinary results, and even their pets. So that's been fun as well. People's dogs and cats are in there as well. So but what we're not really healing anyone. We're helping people heal themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we want people to understand. I'm just a catalyst holding space for people. So if they're ready to heal, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when I did that meditation, I felt really good. And, anytime you go into that consciousness state, it's always like, just uplifting and so forth. But some of the stuff that I had to come through was like, I had Zeus, Apollo, and Neptune come through. And I was wow. What? And then I was connecting connecting with them, and they're like, "You were us," and I was like, "What?" And what do you think, honey?
I just got a confirmation that went on my
Yeah.
spine.
So the architect soul group
Mm-hmm.
used to be the Greek gods and the Indian gods, also from India.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of the gods around, not so much, but they have popped in and out, of different things like, the Viking gods and stuff like that. But those are the two god groups they've been. Yeah.
That makes sense. And, I got that, Atlantean kings and kind of stuff like that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's the same group. And they used to try and do things. So I'm an architect. Lisa's an architect. You're probably an architect, right? So an architect is the first soul group that was born from source. And that's in my book. But the angelics split off from them. And they basically create all the games. And then other beings build them out more. Mm. So ETs are building, like the Pleiadians had a huge hand in building out Earth, plant life, all kinds of different things like that. Elementals, they're basically the gardeners of the planet. That's what they like to do. And they also carry the planetary magic. So the architects create these whole worlds that we go and we play in. And I feel like that was a lot for people to get their head around, in the past. And also, it's not cool to be doing hierarchy, to be saying, I'm so cool, I'm a god, and I can do what I want, and you're going to just learn, like that didn't really work. So now, if an architect is born on Earth or comes into a body on Earth, they're in a human body. They're doing things like everybody else is doing. Do they know certain kinds of things? Yes. But a fairy will know what to do with a seed, and an architect will know how to build something, and it's all with light and sound and everything.
Fabulous. And connecting with the elementals, and they'll give you guidance and help you grow your crops or your plants and so forth, or take care of other things around you. I've had some connections with the elementals. So the architects basically creating the earth, like you were talking about, in the initial stages, coming in and creating the waters and creating the the plants and the animals and so forth. That's an architect. So yeah, I can with that. That's cool. I could see you guys absolutely doing that. So, fantastic. So that's kind of I wanted to kind of segue into a couple of different things. So that's kind of cool about the Greek gods and the architects and so forth, the elementals. That could be, just like we talk about, we could just do a whole 3-hour show just on that stuff. But let's look at the truth behind Tartaria. We talked about that in a couple shows ago, and we're going to go deeper into it. So Tartaria, the mud floods, star forts, giants, technology, the cathedrals of the Tartarians were aligned with the stars and all that kind of stuff. And we still see some of those cities here on Earth that are still aligned with the stars, ancient cities. Tell us what your thoughts are about that, ladies.
Okay, so Lisa, you jump in whenever you want to.
I will. I just saw a video that is really cool with some cool information. So
yeah,
I'll jump in.
So Atlantis started, that was probably the biggest civilization that we kind of were involved with as souls here, and this includes the audience. And then that fell, and then it was more Egyptian. So I think that Egypt actually started in the USA. And that was it was more in the Colorado, like those Four Corners areas, but then it spread out.
Yep.
And basically it was the whole United States and down into Mexico. And there's probably stuff up in Canada too.
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, that was the prequel to Tartaria. So as far as like the Roman stuff and the Roman gods and all of that, that was right before. And I think that the actual mud flood, like the huge mud flood that was water, came before Tartaria. So that one came before, and then after Tartaria was around, I get in 1797, what we know is 1797, is when the liquefaction event happened. And Tartaria was like, they still had all the knowledge. They still had all the technology. They hadn't slid backwards, and they hadn't basically been enslaved again, like what happened not that long ago here. So they had everything. I mean, they were doing it in kind of a steampunk, funky way. And a lot of it, some of it was more 3D, some of it was 4D, but they had all the knowledge, and their DNA, like as far as humanity goes, I believe the DNA was still at six strands.
Wow.
During Tartaria. And when the incubator baby thing happened, that's when it just slammed down to 2.
So that's the Cabbage Patch Dolls. That's, that whole reference to it, the Cabbage Patch Children, where they were delivering the children across the country in mail sacks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just saw today, they had some funny little video. It was supposed to be the first learning like video that they ever put out, or movie. And it was this lady who was a fairy, and she was collecting kids out of cabbages. So that they were telling people back then what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 That looks cool.
Yeah. I love that's the orphan trains. That's where first
the orphan
book.
trains.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Children. Yep.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I just saw this video where they talked about the people who were born in 1871 were still in the thick of it. And a lot of them, lived until through the 30s. Many of them did. And during the Depression in the 30s, President Roosevelt brought together a number of, because they weren't working, journalists who they wanted to keep. They hired them to document the lives of 2,900 people during that period of time, to document their lives. So this guy literally in the 1950s I don't remember when he went into the archives and found file cabinets filled with people's lives, talking about their lives in Tartaria. But
Wow.
that was shut down for years. No one had access to it. And one of the things they talked about, because it was a short video, was the Great Chicago Fire. Simultaneously, it wasn't just Chicago. There were cities in Michigan. There were cities in other places in the United States that all went up in flames at the same time. And they talked about in Chicago how there were blue flames coming out of the basements of some of the buildings from the people who survived. The oxygen was burning up. So people who weren't even around the flames couldn't breathe because the oxygen was just sucked out. Something like 2,500 people perished in one area at a time. This was in 3 states. 1.2 million acres just went up.
Yeah.
So it took me back to Lahaina. It took me back to what went on in California, in those areas. I'm thinking very similar technology. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and Lahaina. So
Yeah.
Lahaina got burned, and we didn't learn from it. So they burned, LA, all that
Yeah.
area. And now they just came in with a storm in Hawaii again. Now the governor in both cases basically put out a massive, emergency, we're seizing control and all that kind of stuff. 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before Lahaina burning, and just for the recent storm, 2 weeks before this storm. So they know what they're doing. And in Lahaina and some of these other places, it's linked to a 15-minute city that's, deal that's being run from Brazil. So Brazil, capture operation with Lula. They basically kicked out Bolsonaro, put him in jail. It's very sad what's going on there. I guess the head of their judicial system is just as corrupt, if not more corrupt than ours is. So they're controlling everything from there, and so they're running Hawaii. So people in Hawaii are connected with people in Brazil that are doing the 15-minute city stuff. And so that's another intention they have for, the LA area, to turn all that area into 15-minute city type stuff. So what we're seeing again in Hawaii, and I said the same thing when the COVID stuff was happening. I said, watch Australia. Whatever they get away with Australia, they're going to do it in America, and over again. Season after season, they were doing the same thing. I said, see what they're doing in Australia, because it's a microcosm where they can come in and control them easier than they can in America. So if they get away with it there, they get all the different things that they know that works, and they bring it to America and do the same thing. So we're going to see probably, unfortunately, the same thing happen in California once again, because we're not awakening to what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of clearing going on too. So it's a pretty wild time that we're in right now. It is the age. I mean, this is the year of all the disclosure, though. So if people don't figure it out this year, they're probably not staying on
Right.
this planet in this timeline. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what Dolores Cannon said. That's what Edgar Casey said years and years ago. That 2026 was the year for consciousness to rise, and then this split. It's kind of a split. It's like we're. Dolores Cannon had a great analogy where she said there's like two trains leave the station. You have the ones that are awakened on one. They're trying to like wave at the other people that are like, got their blinders on, and they're facing forward, and they're just going through the train, going to nowhere. And so some people jump off the train and they're yelling, trying to get their attention still, and they're getting sucked under the train and getting run over. So don't do that. They're on their soul journey. That's what they're meant to do. There's whole families that are completely discombobulated.
Oh, I'm worried about the entire state of Vermont, to be honest. I don't know if there's going to be anyone left. Kevin Hoyt will be able to get home pretty easily.
Yeah, it's like we got enough to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely in the final split right now. So.
And you were saying air travel is probably not going to be a good thing going forward. What are your thoughts on that?
I really don't think it'll be great this year. I feel like it's going to stutter a lot. And yeah, they'll open it back up to a degree, but I think they're going to push the trains. Honestly, it feels like the trains are getting closer to coming in. And I think that's why Elon's been talking about them, because he's a 2.0, so he's pushing the narrative. And the trains have been there for so long, and it's such a fast way to travel. And I know some people are not excited about that idea, but they've been using them for years as they've gotten rid of more and more of the cabal, So I'm sure that there's some routes that have been cut off and won't be used. And there's a lot of stuff that's probably been cut off, but we will probably have that as a travel system for a while. And it just depends on who you are, what timeline you're in, what you're willing to accept, how fast your travel becomes. Because I personally would like to just start with portals, but I don't think that everybody's ready for that. you know? So,
Interesting.
yeah.
So let's go back to Tartaria, the free energy, those onion domes and so forth that were in Russia for quite some time. They're still in Russia, and they were, I guess, all around the world. And the architecture and stuff like that, was absolutely exquisite. Now Napoleon went into Russia with a 600,000 man army, and he returned with only 20,000. And when he was in Russia, there was great, huge fire conflagrations that happened in Moscow, and very similar to a nuclear event. And all of the soldiers had the same problems and died from the same problems that you would from exposure to nuclear fallout. So, do you think that they used nukes in destroying Tartaria?
No.
No?
I think they probably used the directed energy weapons.
Yep. That's got the same, has the same thing.
Yeah, only it's more refined.
Right.
I don't really think the ETs would allow nuclear weapons. I feel like they're like, don't mess up our area too, because you think about the different dimensions. They could be walking right next to you at any point. So why would they allow that? So I think they've been watching and keeping track of all the weird things that humanity's been doing for a very long time.
Huh. Do you think that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not nuclear events, that they actually used direct energy weapons on those two? That's what I think.
I was just saying about to ask the same question. Yeah. Well, if you think about it, how are people living there so quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even the Fukushima thing was a bit of a psyop.
Yeah.
And I think, when you think about Chernobyl and then you see a documentary where they're there and it's like green and beautiful and, all this kind of stuff. And you're like, did they contaminate the water? Probably with that stuff. But would people be okay if they actually live there now? I feel like they would.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just crazy. Yeah. And the fires were all over the United States. They were in San Francisco. They were doing fires consistently for, I don't know, maybe like a 10 to 20 year period. And the Great Chicago Fire, the Great San Francisco Fire, the Great, whatever fire. And they were doing it all over the place.
Well, if you look at photos of like the Grand Canyon and other areas of the country, they look in the world. Sometimes some of the mountains and these structures look like melted buildings. Like you can see like little windows and things like that. When I was in Spain with there's one city we went to, and there was this huge cliff down at the bottom. You could see a whole layer below, and I was like, there's houses under there. Like there was this huge, we were with Dave Mahoney, and he's pointing this out, and I'm like, look at down there. How did they build that inside this cliff? It was wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Turkey, Cappadocia. So I'll share the screen and let you get to see that. But they're definitely melted. Imagine like a city like New York City, and they just come in and just melt all the buildings down into these, like you see here. There's like these cliffs. These were all buildings, and they have like doors in them, and you can go inside them, and they're like right here. And inside they're magnificent. So why would you drill into a piece of rock like that and make something magnificent inside, you wouldn't do that. So obviously, this stuff is this is around the world like this, and they talk how in like here in Cappadocia, it's cool having the balloons. There will be a good view to do the balloon ride and look down on all the ancient city that's been melted. So,
What's so cool is now people are recognizing it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't before. Nobody was like aware. We just didn't. I don't know how they managed that, really. How do you manage to fool so many people?
Well, the other thing is when you travel around the world and you go into these magnificent buildings, the doors are like 30 feet high. Like, why would they build doorways and entryways that are that enormous for people who are 6 feet tall and supposedly shorter than that?
Yeah. Well, and even the lock is like way up, like, oh, well, we need 10 people to stand on their shoulders in order to get to the lock. They have to have a special mechanism that's down lower. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just common sense that it doesn't work. And the Pilgrims actually said in their writing when they came over, oh, everything's already here for us. It's so amazing. It's like, well, yeah, because all the people are dead.
But what's also interesting, and I'm curious, we talk about slavery, and my understanding is the Tartarians were Moors. They were dark-skinned, and then I saw something that said that Abraham Lincoln was actually a Moor.
Yeah.
Was Tartarian and dark skin. Like they've actually altered a lot of presidents and famous people, their skin color.
Yeah, there were presidents before there were presidents.
Yep. So also the Tartarians had a lot of giants, and I have a guy that does work on that and looks at giants and so forth, and he's got some great videos, some great stuff, but he doesn't believe in Tartaria. I was like, are you kidding me? So I'm not going to say his name. I'll punk him out, but he he's written a lot of books. He's done really good, but he's kind of starting to move a little bit towards Tartaria now because I've been showing him some stuff. So, but to me, it's very obvious. If anyone has questions about it, there's this slew of Tartaria videos on YouTube, and they're absolutely fascinating. And when you see just one of them, you're like, okay, it's real, right? It existed. You can't argue anymore. And why do we not have memories of that? Because every time, they're digging. I guess they did. They're building something in where was it? The falls. Where's the falls? Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, yeah.
So they're building. Of course, Tesla built a generation system there, and it did the World's Fair for the first time. They lit it up, and we can talk about that as well. But the World Fair stuff, how they came in and basically destroyed pieces of Tartaria and said, "Oh yeah, we're just tearing down the old World Fair." But they dug and they found like these huge, like they had already tapped into Niagara Falls in the past and used it for generation. And they were like excavating it, and then they just stopped it and covered it over real quick. So, they keep covering all this stuff, and people throughout Europe will dig. Here in the United States, they'll dig. I've heard that a lot of farms in the United States, so they'll dig down about 20 feet and they start uncovering all kind of crazy stuff. And they just come in and just like shut it down, cover it up. Until let everybody not to talk about it, and then the files on all this stuff. They had files on this stuff in the past, like you're talking about, Lisa, and they've disappeared. So it's just like we saw with COVID, they come in with a lie, and now that we're trying to go back and say, now that people are starting to wake up, we can't find the information that we had in the beginning. It's all buried, gone, destroyed, so forth. And then some people, like I know there's a lot of truthers out there that I've known over the years that are no longer with us, that disclose this stuff, and they have these untimely deaths. So people are like, I'm not gonna say anything. So that's how they control this information.
Right. Well, I always want to ask a question to people about archaeology and the people who go out and, dig up civilizations. What's the first thing you want to ask yourself is how do you build a city on top of a city? What happened that you suddenly have another civilization on top of another civilization? No one questions that. It's like you have these people who go to school for years and they're sitting there digging up, different bones and civilizations, and then there's no, we don't question that in school. Like, how does another city get on top of another city?
They act like it's all erosion or something.
I don't know, but and as a child, I didn't question it. Like I didn't, it's like that was a fact, and then all of a sudden I started questioning, how does this happen? But the other question I have for you, Michael, is they talked about, was it Iraq where they found giants there, the red-headed giants?
Yeah.
Were those Nephilim? Were those different than Tartarians? Are they different group of people?
Honey, that they're probably
Yeah.
but I can tell you that did happen. They did find the giant there in Afghanistan.
Not too long ago, right?
Yeah, that was well, it's been about, I don't know, 8-10 years now. But I talked to some of the guys who were involved in that, and they shared the information that was real. So the SEAL team went in, and they were told it was there, and they killed this giant. It was badass. So they had heavy weapons and everything, and it was kicking some of their asses. I guess some guys got hurt, but they came out of the helicopter and they flew it away. Right, put it in some kind of binding or whatever, and then flew it away. But it had red hair, and a lot of these giants seem to have red hair. Okay, go to you, honey, and see what your thoughts are.
Okay, so you guys know about the Anunnaki, right? So the Anunnaki came during the Sumerian times, enslaved them, and wanted them to be digging for gold all the time. So the Sumerians were dark. The Anunnaki were white, right? They were white, and they had red hair. And they've been messing with genetics forever. So they were huge. They were much bigger than giants. And they've been like merging DNA with human and Anunnaki for years and years. And the bloodlines that control or have controlled the world, I don't really feel like they're in power anymore. But those 13 families were Anunnaki families. Okay. And not all Anunnaki were bad, just like not all human beings are bad and not all are good. But so they kept messing with the genetics and shrinking so that they could do better in the atmosphere. They could fit in better on Earth. And I think that the berserker type giant was more pure Anunnaki. And a bit more crazy because I don't think it worked so well to do that kind of genetics. And if you think about Genghis Khan, he was red hair. He had red hair, right? So these were Tartarian people. They were just part of the people. And the Moorish people were also part of the people. But I don't think the Tartarians cared at all what color you were.
Yeah.
That was another part of the division that went on. So, and I don't think slaves actually came from Africa if they're in America either. I think they were already here.
Mm-hmm. So, there's all these cities that are, I think they came in and liquefaction, and then, these cities sank. Maybe they weren't destroyed to the level they wanted them to. But same thing, people get dumbed down. I think they insert people in. A lot of the like what I'm hearing, they made these mad where you go where you're like you're crazy or
Oh, the
whatever.
loony bins. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're really nice.
No,
And so
yeah.
people would go in there that had these memories of Tartaria and so forth, and they'd send them into these places, and they'd MK Ultra them and get rid of those memories and then send them out. So that was happening around the world as well. So you see these massive, beautifully done crazy houses. I think there's a different name for them.
Asylums.
Asylums. There you go. And they so had all these asylums all around the world. In the I think the early 1800s is when they started building them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's around the time frame where they really hammered Tartaria.
Yeah, and I think some of them were Tartarian buildings. Like they were already, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's crazy. I just watched some kind of show, and they had this beautiful building that they abandoned and let rot, but it was obviously Tartarian, and everything else around it was like brutalist, ugly architecture,
Yeah, kind of like what they did with the those beautiful world fairs. So they had world fairs. One was in New York, Buffalo, New York, I think, and that's where they came in and had Tesla lit it up. So it was lit up. It was magnificent. First time ever, at least to people's knowledge, that there was, or at least they let on. There was like this electrical, engineering feat that happened, but they destroyed everything after each one of these world fairs. So it was a way they could come in and get those Tartarian buildings and say, "Oh, we just built it," in less than a year. And of course, they're like magnificent. They're better buildings than anything that's existing anywhere else. And then afterwards, they just tear them all down. So it was destroying another way of destroying the culture that was still left.
Yeah, they were constantly doing that.
Yeah.
And that's when the incubator babies got introduced as well.
So were those babies cloned? I mean, is that when you say incubator, where was the origin of these babies? Like
they were basically cloned.
Yeah.
And they figured out how to split consciousness.
Yeah.
So when I tuned into them, it was like they were able to take one human consciousness, one human soul, and split it into 100. And
done that to me. I'm in a secret space program all over the place.
Yeah. So it's crazy what they did. Yeah.
So, but was that also like, what were they looking for when they found someone's consciousness? Because were they in the process of finding people where they could dumb down consciousness to control?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they really didn't want anybody to have any kind of to do what we're doing now. Right. They didn't want anybody to be doing what we're doing now. And a lot of us, big souls were found out and killed off, before ascension ever started. But now we're in the process of ascension, and their whole process is failing. So, and that's what we're watching happen.
Yeah, because we had the 2021. They're supposed to have they're supposed to be in control by 2021. During the time frame just before COVID, and they came out with COVID. It didn't happen the way they anticipated. So that moved to 2030, and now it's moved from 2030 to 2026 to like 2040 something. So they keep pushing the dates back because we keep waking up and stopping their progress.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're trying to do whatever they can to stop us. We got the Trump administration basically taking out a massive, system in Iran right now, which when that's done, that's going to be incredible to be able to go there. I'm anticipating going there after all this is done and connecting with a lot of those, the energies that are there. But they're on the flip side of that, they did Hawaii while they're over here doing, knocking out, Iran. They sneak in and they did Hawaii. So they still have control and ways of doing damage. I think sometimes, instead of cleaning stuff up, and I know a lot of people are like, why does it just get going? It has been going, I believe, to a great extent, but they threaten. They threatened just like, they destroyed Moscow and Napoleon's army. They can destroy massive, amounts of people, or they used to be able to. It's not so much now. What do you guys think?
So I actually think that it had to do with cleaning up underneath Hawaii. A lot of things were being flooded there, and it needed to flood, and everything was being kept because the hurricane basically just sat on top of a couple of the islands. So, because I have friends in Hawaii, and I think it was, we bubbled her house, so she's fine. Her house is fine. Her solar system's fine. However, we have to remember that there's more than one reason almost every time something happens. So it's for disclosure. It's also to flood out things that cannot be there anymore. And water is amazing for clearing energy, because the energy that's been in those tunnels all this time has been so horrific. So there's all these souls that were trapped and all this, there's so many things that happened in those tunnels, and it has to be completely cleaned up. So I think that's what was going on. It was twofold. And I think the people of Hawaii will recover, but it's going to be rough. I mean, it's a huge wake-up call to have that happen again, because the fire was one thing, and now this happened.
Yeah.
Is there also a portal there? I know that there's a giant portal in Iraq, but I was like, there's something that's there that they keep going back to. Are they trying to get hold of a Stargate or a portal there?
In Iran?
Yeah.
Iran, I know, but Hawaii, I was curious.
Yeah. I believe all three. Iraq, Iran.
Yeah.
Hawaii, no, I don't get that. But it was, it was one of the main hubs of Lemuria, of Mu. And it has to be cleansed. I mean, not only is all this stuff going on, but Lemuria is when it all kind of started, back with Atlantis and Lemuria. That's when they started messing with everybody's genetics. Mm-hmm. And Lemuria wasn't doing that, but Atlantis was. And that was really the beginning of polarization on Earth. But Earth had already fallen into the 3D at that point.
I wrote something down. I had a quick question going back to the Cabbage Patch dolls and stuff. When you think about NPCs and then also the big souls that are coming in, are NPCs more offspring of those, or they have nothing to do with each other? Because how does a big architect soul come into a body if these were all created as Cabbage Patch dolls? Or people,
kids
like that, the kids.
It really, so you can create whatever kind of body you want. That's the main thing to remember. Yeah. If it's going to behoove you as a soul to come into a certain family for your mission, for your job that you want to do, then you will make sure that you have what you need to do that. And when the egg meets the sperm, that's the beginning of consciousness there. But usually it's going to just be a human consciousness to start out with, because this is a human world. We're in a human body. if as an architect soul or an angelic soul or whatever, like it's not your normal to be here. So you're here to guide the human part of you, and you can make it whatever you want. I walked in when I was like 18 months old, but I'd been hanging out with my father for 9 years before I showed up. So I got really excited when I showed up, and I was really ornery, in that moment. But we can create whatever we want. I think that's one of the things that is hard to get our heads around too, is everything is malleable, and we're not solid. We're not even a solid being, You can see through the human body if you put it under a microscope.
Yeah. So Dolores Cannon said that the NPCs were pretty low level souls, if at all, and not much consciousness there. They're here to basically be part of the picture, like the movie, and they have their roles very, very limited, very they don't do much.
Filler.
So and I've met how many people have we all met that seem like they're NPCs, right? They just don't have any critical thinking. They just follow the script, the narrative, whatever one they're attracted to, and they are basically, I think, just part of a bigger picture. Now, some of these NPCs are programmed to a certain extent to seed the consciousness with certain information, because I'm seeing there's a lot of narratives out there. I see this one website where it seems like all these people are having these near-death experiences, and Jesus is showing up and telling them, yep, there's going to be these cataclysms and all this stuff. I'm like, all these people, it's, and I've been watching these shows, and I'm like, one of the dates that they said it was going to happen, New York was going to be flooded, was March 15th. So that's come and gone. And then there's other dates in April. And I'm like, I personally don't see it, but I'm just paying attention to it, observing it. But I know there's a lot of people that are basically, they have this consciousness that's input, maybe MK Ultra type stuff. And they come in and they're, because of their consciousness, they can pull that reality into existence.
Yeah, and we have to remember that we pull information from the field. We don't actually hold it in our brain. Yeah. So they could be getting beamed that information,
right?
And maybe they were trained that way.
Yeah. Well, there was talk about in Iran, massive amounts of conversions, people seeing Christ and Jesus, and they're burning down mosques and people are going to church. So something is happening over there where people are having these massive amounts of conversions to Christianity. But my understanding, they were not really a Muslim country in the beginning anyway. I mean, this was forced on them. They didn't even speak. They had their own language. They didn't speak Arabic. They speak Farsi.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Persian Empire goes way back.
Yeah.
Cyrus the Great and Alexander the Great came in and brought, the Greek language and so forth. He conquered, but he didn't basically convert them into a Greek society. So they kept their identity and their religions and so forth, Zoroastrianism. But it is, they've had every religion. I've been to what I think were parts of Iran, and that's in the Kurdistan area in Iraq when I was working there during CIA times. And the Kurds are unbelievable. They have ancient religious, cultures that are still active there. The three wise men came from Kurdistan, and I went to the mount where they were. And everybody's like, that's where the three wise men were. And I was like, wow. And so they had like this beautiful village below there, had waterfalls and all kind of, it must have been amazing. So, there's a lot of this information that's out there. just like Tartaria, it's been, buried and suppressed. And if you go there, you're laughed at or you're, isolated. I remember just, God, it was like 15, 20 years ago, maybe, where I was like so into Tesla, Nicholas Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking about his stuff. It's like no one knew what the heck I was talking. Who is that? So
Wow.
now everybody knows. So you can, like we're doing right now, we're disclosing about Tartaria, and when we have to be aware that in the past, when we've reached a level of consciousness that they don't like, they come in and like hammer us. But I think we're at the point where we're going to, bypass that control and that complete, devastation that they've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Look what they did to the bells in the cathedrals.
Yeah, in bells. Good.
Those were sound healing, and they claimed that they needed them for the war, but they found giant burial ground of all these bells.
Right.
They just buried them. I lived in Pittsburgh, which was one of the wealthiest cities in the country with the Mellons and the Carnegies, and we had a house that had 9 fireplaces, but the realtor said, "Oh, those don't work anymore," but they were only like this big. They were the old way of heating. It was a whole different system, and there was stained glass in the house. The cost of living there was so low. Compared to where I came from, New York and New Jersey, we walked there and we were like, it's a quarter of the price of everything. Now, I don't know, not so much, but that house was built like a tank. It was brick and wood and mahogany and onyx and the workmanship on it. I lived in a Tartarian house. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. With the radium fireplaces.
Yeah. That's what they use. And the thing is, you can't use the radium. What is it? The dishware that used to glow in the dark. You're supposed to eat off of all that, and then suddenly they're dangerous. But they used to eat off of all that.
Yeah.
Super healthy back then. Yeah. And so they had to do away with it. I just saw recently, Tracy shared with me where, who was that gangster that came out with the stuff on the milk? So Al Capone. So Al Capone was moving in Chicago, of course. He was moving alcohol, but milk they were making more. Their farmers were making more profit on their milk deliveries than he was on getting his alcohol out there. So they came up with a scheme to mark everything with the expiration date. And milk, fresh, whole milk from the cow lasts forever, pretty much.
Unpasteurized.
It doesn't rot, so it's perfect. And of course, they had to pasteurize it, and now, it probably does expire, and it's not good for you. So they came in and they put an expiration date on everything. They talk, of course, gangsters talk. You pay it off the politicians, and Al Capone had the only machinery that would stamp the expiration dates on everything. So the farmers had to get their milk with expiration dates, and they couldn't afford it. They started going out of business, and then of course alcohol became very popular, and so crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, these manipulations that have come down to us over the years, and we just don't realize it. And then we wake up to it. It's like, well, let's change it back to where it was. And it's like pulling every tooth in your mouth to try and get it done. Just look at the, we roll the time back, we roll it forward every year, and almost everybody in America is like sick of it, and have been for decades. And we keep telling our politicians, we don't like this, change it. And we're going to get on that. Don't worry. We're going to do a study. We're going to talk about it. And year after year goes by, and it's like, it's pathetic, It's like the system we're in.
Well, and it interrupts your rhythm, your natural rhythm. So that's what they want.
Like the bells, the bells are like, music. When I was in Beirut, they still have the bells, and they're absolutely magnificent. Of course, the Muslim population is, overcoming everything, and destroying everything, unfortunately, but it is fantastic still. I would say I was there during a Christmas time frame one year, and all every city has a cathedral, and there's like tons of cities throughout all the hills in Beirut, and they just lit it up and had all kind of Christmas decorations. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen anywhere. And then they'd have bells, and it's like, wow, it's like, it was incredible. So there's still a piece of that out there, probably somewhere else. But like you said, Lisa, there's lots of, videos, same thing, the Tartaria videos where they took all those bells down because they communicated town to town. That's how they didn't have, walkie-talkies or cell phones or anything like that. They communicated through the bell system, and it would go throughout all the lands. And everybody knew what was going on. So, they took them down for a reason, so they could control populations again, and stamp our stuff with expiration dates and all that kind of great stuff. Roll back the time and
Yes.
Yeah, they still, in certain states, the unpasteurized milk is illegal. In Vermont, you can still get it, but you literally have to sign your life away. I mean, you have to fill out all these forms and sign that if you get sick, it's your responsibility. You can't sue, and you can't just go and buy it. Like, you have to be put in a book, and they have to look you up and make sure everything's legal. It's insane. But I think they're stopping that. I think that they're going to make the pasteurized milk legal. In Mexico, the eggs are out, they're not refrigerated, they're out. Yeah. They're room temperature, and the shells are thicker. And it's just a very different, they're very different. So I'm looking forward, I try and buy my eggs unpasteurized as much as, my nails are so hard and growing like crazy here. I go back home and my nails start to get brittle and break again. So whatever they're doing to us, is really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when they had the bird flu in the States, and they're like, killing all the birds, and the egg prices were going crazy. You just go right across the border and it was no problem. There's no bird flu over there. And you could get eggs for a regular price. But, again, same thing, the manipulations, how much longer will they continue? I don't think too much longer, because we're really, really waking up.
Yeah. We're really close.
We're really close.
Yeah. No, you can feel it.
The way to get closer is to do the quantum meditation. So tell us about that. When's the next one? Coming up, right?
It's Thursday. Mm-hmm. So it's Thursday the 19th.
Oh, the 19th. Okay. Thursday.
Yeah, it's this Thursday. It's at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock Eastern. You can go to both or just one. It's a subscription. It's only $44. I mean, we give a lot of value for $44. It's unbelievable. Insane. But we want it available to everyone. And there's a lot that we do with people. It's a beautiful community.
Yeah.
I was surprised how many people were there. So you guys, is it growing? It looks like it's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing. Yeah, it's growing. And we need to keep getting the word out, because I think it really helps people in so many ways. And they're really learning how to navigate their own healing, because they're up there in the Akashic records and they're thinking about what's going on with them. So it doesn't matter what you've got going on. If it's a relationship, the way that you operate in relationships, or, something about your body or whatever, you can heal it. And that's what we're there for, is just a guide. You can. Something happened.
I know. All of a sudden I just went quiet.
I'm over in YouTube. I had to change the date because I thought it was like next week, but it's this week.
Oh no! It's Thursday. Normally we do it then, but I'm traveling. It's hard. I feel bad because I'm on the road a lot. So Honey and I are like, when are we doing it next month? So it's not a consistent date. We try to.
So it's usually on a Thursday.
Yeah, we try and do it on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been like the same date. One month later, I was like, wow, look at that. It's like 26 all the way back to that.
Yeah, it would have been, except I'm going to be hopefully flying that day.
Yeah, she'll be hopefully flying here.
I'm flying to go see Honey.
Yeah.
And you can use Michael Jaco for the code for 11% discount.
Yeah.
Angelic number. That's good. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. And highly recommend. If my timing's right, I will be in there. I think it will be. So the energy there with that group, guys, is phenomenal. And of course, afterwards, you get a Q&A, and it's like you get to see where you're at. You're like, how would I answer this? So, and then Honey comes in, or Lisa comes in and says this. And I'm like, wow, that's what I would have said. So it's really, really cool. And I know that people ask you they want more in-depth questions about, past relatives and so forth. And I'm like, she's going to give them the basic, because that's personal. And you don't go deep down that rabbit hole in a group. So you give them the basic, and they seem a little bit, I was hoping for more, but that's, if they connected with that, because I used to do this as well. If they connected with that, that's a signal for them that they're connecting. And like you're talking about, you learn how to do that on your own by going to these types of meditations. You go into that state of consciousness, and you're kind of like, you're like open your eyes, and you're like, watching everything, and maybe getting involved with the conversation, but you're still in that quantum consciousness state, and you can connect and do amazing things. So play with those energies after you do the meditation, and kind of see where everybody's at and feel that energy. It's quite amazing. And you actually did have quite a few gentlemen in there, so that's a positive.
Yeah, that was great.
It's great. You know what? It's really nice to see more and more men getting into the energy field. And we have this amazing, brilliant woman, Liz Perkins, who is an incredible healer. And she's got her master's in botany, and she helps people a lot. She does muscle testing and all kinds of healing as well. So we have a signal group that people can ask questions as well. So, and we stay in touch with people on that group as well. Yeah.
Very nice. Wow. We had some serious chat in this one. I
know.
I stopped it at one point, and I was like, okay, let's scroll down to the bottom. I was like,
I know. I did that too. I was like, wow. No, it's been a great conversation. We've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So Tartaria is fascinating, and there's more and more coming out.
Very good.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have another great intuitive conversation 3-4 weeks out, whatever. So thanks, ladies, so much. And
thank you.
Quantum meditation, $44. You can't. It's like amazing, guys. You can't beat it. You're not going to get a meditation on that level anywhere else for that price. So, and you can get it for $11 less if you use the Michael Jaco. So there you go. All right, ladies. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.